Andrea and I am back again with another video for you guys. First of all, honestly, pause. I know I probably look like I just been through 4 12-hour shifts back to back, which in all actuality I really haven't. But I did work today, so excuse all of this. I wanted to get this Q&A out to you guys. Honestly, I asked y'all to ask me questions like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I really honestly haven't had the time to like insert them into videos, and like my last video was a vlog, so obviously like I couldn't insert the questions. So I thought I would make a video dedicated strictly to the questions you guys asked me. Hopefully I cover everything, and if there's any other questions or anything else you want to know, be sure to leave it down below in the comments, and I promise you I will definitely answer them. So I might as well get comfortable. I think there's about somewhere between 15 to 20 questions that you guys had sent in to me. Some of them do have to do with the NICU, some of them have to do with just me in general and the whole 9. So let's just go ahead and start with the first question. Okay, so the first one is, do you plan on getting a master's in nursing? So honestly, if you ask me now, which you obviously are asking me now, I cannot bear the thought of having to go back to school. But I also, I don't like the thought of being stagnant, I guess you could say. I honestly don't have a truthful answer to that. I don't know if I want to go back and get my master's. I do know that I also want to pursue other areas of nursing. Of course, like I'll be in NICU for a while, but I do know there are other areas of nursing that I do want to go into. Now, whether or not I pursue that master's to be further advanced in those areas, that's still up in the air, because honestly, like I said, I can't even think about going through school again right now, especially at an advanced level. So for right now, I'm gonna focus on NICU, and if it's my time to get that master's, I definitely, trust me, you guys will be one of the first ones to know. All right, the next question is, I'm a mom and worry I can't handle babies in that state. Is it hard being around them? So I feel like honestly, this is like your own personal aspect and your own personal how emotional you are. I can say for me, I am a really emotional person. It doesn't, to a certain extent, it doesn't take I have something stuck in my eye. It doesn't take a lot for me to like cry, but I also know like when to hold it back. Now I will say, if you are concerned, like if you have it's totally okay if you have a passion for nursing, but you're like, or not nursing, if you have a passion for NICU, I am so sorry guys. Let me work on this for a second. Okay, so it's totally okay to, have that passion for NICU, but also be worried, like, am I gonna be able to handle the babies in the state that they're in? Now, that is when it's super important to understand that there are levelings, like when it comes to being in the NICU. Of course, you have, I believe there are level 1s, level 2, level 3, level 4 being the most critical. Now, me, like I told you guys, I'm at a level 2, and I also said in my past couple videos, I said that I always knew that I didn't want to do a level 4 NICU, and that was because I kind of knew, I already knew, I didn't want to deal, or I didn't want to have to, those babies are, I don't know how else to say it, but to just say that those babies are super critical, especially in level 4, so I knew that I just didn't want to do it. So it's really, like I said, your own personal experience. But as far as your actual question of is it hard being around them, I really haven't, the babies that I have seen so far on my shifts, it hasn't been nothing too drastic. It's nothing that I feel like is unbearable. But again, I've only been on the floor for 3 shifts, so I'm sure there's more to come. I can say that I do have a coworker. She works in level 2 with me now, but she did used to work in level 4. And she said that she really, honestly, I think after 4 or 5 years, she had to step away from a level 4 because it was really, she found herself taking her work home with her. And that's honestly one of the last things you want to do. Going home worrying about this baby, or just worrying about work at home. There's a place for work and there's a place for home. And she found herself just, I guess you could say, for more of a sense, being overwhelmed and constantly being overwhelmed and constantly having to make sure that this one baby that you have stays alive your entire shift. So she said, it's definitely something that is intense. Of course, you're gonna get that rush out of it, that first time. There are people who do want to do level 4s, but you're gonna get that rush of, oh, I love this and this is exactly what I want. But after a while, it can get emotionally draining. So just keep that in mind, especially like you said, you're a mom. So I would recommend it depends. It depends who you are as a person. It depends your emotional state. Like I said, for me, I'm in a level 2, and I honestly don't see myself going up any higher. This question, I know it's off topic, but farm tips. I start in 3 weeks. Gonna keep it short, sweet, and simple. I actually have a video all about how you should study for farm. I will link it either somewhere up here or in the description box down below. I definitely have a video, but I will say real quick, the key to farm and doing amazing in farm is just honestly memorization. Do Quizlet, do flashcards, and you will do amazing, I promise. Farm is honestly not that bad. Okay, the next question is tips for networking in clinicals. I feel like I leave good impressions, but I want to do more. Totally understand, totally get that, because like I told you guys, the job that I have now, I feel like me having a clinical rotation there honestly played a huge part in me securing the job. I know, like, at first it can be super intimidating, especially for me. I always felt like I was in the way, like, of the nurse. You have this nurse, and I feel like I'm a little puppy dog just, like, following her around everywhere and just being in her way. But in all honesty, I really think it takes just stepping outside of your comfort zone and knowing, like, this is your passion and this is the time to learn when you are actually in the clinical setting. I think the major key factor as well is, if your nurse has nothing for you to do, I guarantee you there is a nurse somewhere on that unit that has something for you to do. I remember, not even at the hospital I'm at now, but like maybe my 3rd or 4th semester, I was on a stroke floor and I would jump from nurse to nurse to nurse. Oh, like, you have injections. Oh, you have this for me to see. Oh, you have that's going on. Like, I would jump from nurse to nurse, and it's just being able to really just use your voice. It's gonna feel uncomfortable at first. It may feel intimidating, but really, it's gonna benefit you in the end. Make sure, you know, you're asking your nurses for advice, or if you're really interested in working in the hospital, you're maybe presenting your resume to the manager, whatever the case may be. The big factor is just stepping outside of your comfort zone. And also too, like, I know there are some people that I used to go to school with that used to like follow the PCAs around, you know, like the CNAs. They used to follow the CNAs around, and that alone will get you a lot of skills, like a lot of skill set that you may not be able to practice following a nurse. Because honestly, the CNAs do a lot, and they do a lot of things that you would be able to do as a nursing student. So like I said, just trying to follow everyone that you possibly can. And just don't be afraid to use your voice. If you want to do a catheter and you've never done one before, voice that, let it be known. Like, I remember I used to tell my nurses, hey, like, I've never put in the catheter before. Hey, I've never done this before. But if you can walk me through it, I'll do it. Like, because at some point, that first try, that first attempt has to get done. So I feel much better at me being in nursing school than me being an actual nurse. I'd rather get it out the way. Or back then I used to be like, let me just get it out the way now, because I'm gonna have to do this eventually, so I might as well do it now. So just be comfortable, be confident, and you got it, I promise. Somebody asked, what was the training like? Honestly, I'm still going through training, and I think this is another question as well. Somebody asked me how long is my orientation, or somewhere along those lines. So like I told you guys, I'm in a residency program, so the actual program within itself of me being like in that residency program is for a full year. So I'll graduate from that well, not necessarily graduate, but just like advance further on from that program next year, like in June or July. But I'm on orientation for 6 months. So after 6 months, which will be like December or January of next year, I'll be on my own. I won't have a preceptor. But as far as like the training, so right now, honestly, it feels like clinical. It feels like, again, me just following a nurse. You do get to do a lot more, and you are using your license at this point. But it's really like going to clinical and just following your nurse, following your preceptor, and just doing stuff till you're comfortable with it. And then also, like, it's clinical on top of like documenting and actually charting. Like when I was in clinical, of course, we never really documented on the actual like hospital charting system. But as a nurse, of course, you have to do that. So it's like clinical with like an extra few things. But as far as like my program, I don't know if every residency program is like this, but I have I follow a preceptor around. I have NICU core classes within everybody who was hired as a NICU nurse within that hospital system. I have those classes like 3 or 4 times a month. I have NRP training, which is the neonatal resuscitation program. I have that coming up. I have a nurse residency seminar every single month until I'm done with the program. So honestly, like, my hospital system is bomb.com. They do everything to make sure that you as a new grad make that transition super well, they try to just make it better for you, because like I told you guys, it is a big adjustment. It can get super overwhelming at times. but my hospital is very supportive, and especially with their new grads. So I can definitely say if you can find a new grad program within your area, I would highly recommend it. All right, the next question is, in Phoenix, all the NICU jobs require experience. What should I do to get experience? If you can, so I'm gonna say a couple things with this question. If you can maybe be a tech, or a clerk or something along those lines that will like get you on a NICU floor or somewhere in the family birthing center floor, whether it be an L&D, mother baby, being that tech, I think that'll help you a lot. But I also want to say too, like, I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but specifically like in the Houston area, I can say, I feel like, because I came into nursing school thinking this, like if you wanted to go into a specialty area, you have to do med surg first, like you have to do that. No, you don't. You do not. And somebody literally asked me this the other day, like, I'm always getting told that I have to do med surg, but I really don't want to do what you want to do. If you know, I mean, let me say this. Nothing wrong with med surg at all. I promise there's nothing wrong with it. But if you know that's not something you want to do, don't do it. It's good for the experience. It's amazing for your skills. Because I would be wrong if I sit here and say you may lose some of your skill set if you're in a specialized area. If you're not practicing something for so long, and you're not getting that exposure, of course you're going to lose that skill set. So that's why med surg is a super good area if you want to master your skills, and then move on to a specialty area. But I wasn't doing that. And here in Texas or here in Houston, I can say you don't have to do that. A lot of hospitals, a lot of my friends went into specialty areas without having to do med surg. I went into a specialty area without having to do med surg. So don't think, like I used to have a mentor that used to tell us, don't think you have to do that, because you don't have to do that. Again, if you want to master your skills and then move on to another area because that's what you want to do, go for it. But if you want to go straight into your specialty, just try your absolute hardest. And like I said, if you want to be a tech or a clerk or a receptionist or whatever the case may be on that floor, that will to a certain extent get you experience. But if you don't want to do med surg, trying to find a hospital, trying to find an area, the key is doing research just to figure out, okay, where you can get in and where you cannot get in. But nonetheless, just try to stick your foot in the door as much as possible. Next question is, do you think I would be able to get a NICU job with only my ADN as a new grad? Honestly, I don't want to tell you the wrong answer with this. I do want to say, like, with my hospital system, I believe, so my hospital system has hospitals all over the Houston area. So some hospital locations would take ADNs, but some would specifically say like BSN required, BSN preferred, or I know a lot of times when hospitals, not even just my hospital alone, but like hospitals will hire ADNs internally. Like say if you have already worked there as a tech, as a patient transport, they will hire you as an ADN, but they will also have that requirement of, okay, you have X amount of time to get your BSN. So I personally don't know anyone who's had their ADN and went straight into a NICU job. Not saying that it can't be done, but again, I don't want to sit here and lie to you like I know the answer, because I really don't. Just know that there are some hospitals, I'm not sure where you're at. I'm trying to see your name on Instagram, but yeah, I'm not sure where you're from, but a lot of times the hospitals will specify, especially like if you want to work, let me say for example, like in the Texas Medical Center, a lot of times those hospitals don't take ADNs, and they'll say that, like when it comes time for you to apply, they'll specifically say BSN preferred. So do a little bit more research on it, because like I said, I don't want to tell you the wrong answer. I personally don't know anyone who came with an ADN, but a lot of times if a hospital does hire an ADN nurse, they want you to have your BSN within a certain amount of time. Next question, what is the best way to get into the NICU as a new grad? Networking, your clinical, I feel like is really most important, and also like just exposing yourself to as many, like when it comes time for you to apply, apply to literally every NICU job possible. If you're willing to move to a whole nother city, a whole nother state, do it. I personally wasn't going to do that, but I know many people who, apply to jobs outside of the Houston area. So I would say the most important thing is when you do have your NICU rotation, leave an impact, leave a mark, so when it does come time for you to come back around and come in for that interview, they'll remember your face. Someone asked your final grade, I think my GPA in nursing school, if you're comfortable. I honestly don't mind because I don't care, I graduated at this point. So I think my final GPA was like a 3.42 or 3. It was somewhere around there. I can say like my GPA never went below a 3.0. Well, the whole time I was in college, my GPA never went below 3.0. I did have some semesters where, like, my first semester of nursing school, it drastically dropped my GPA. And then ever since that point on, I was working so hard to get my GPA back up. But I think when I actually graduated, it was like a somewhere around 3.4 something. But yeah, and I feel like, I don't know if you're asking this in regard to like jobs, but a lot of times, I know here in the Houston area, a lot of jobs were just having that requirement of making sure you have at least a 3.0 or above. But if you want to go into the medical center, some of those hospitals require some of them require 3.5 or above. So, I mean, I got my job so with my little 3.4, so I'm okay with that, but that was mine. All right, the next question, what is it like working in the NICU? Do you like it so far? I do. You guys could tell in my last vlog that I was super excited. Even just talking about it in general, I do get super excited. It does have its overwhelming moments. Like one shift we had deliveries back to back, and C-sections like back to back, and it was like you have, as the transition nurse, you have to be present at every single one, on top of like charting for every baby and making sure that every baby is getting their eyes and thighs. So it can get overwhelming. I've seen overwhelming moments, but nonetheless, I do like it. I know this is gonna be, it kind of feels like nursing school, kind of to a certain extent. Like you're learning new information, you're being presented new material, and you're expected to know this. And my license is on this, so I feel like I have to take it even more like serious. Not saying that I wasn't taking nursing school serious, but I'm working with my license at this point, so I have to pay extra close attention to everything that I do. I have to make sure that I'm learning, and if I'm not understanding, I honestly have no problem. Can you please like stop for a second? Can we go back? Can you explain this further? So yeah, and I never really had a problem with voicing if I had an issue. I never really had a problem with that, or if I didn't understand something. So it's a lot of that. It's like I said earlier, it's really like clinical to a certain extent, and just making sure you understand, because for me, there's gonna come a point in time where my preceptor is not gonna be there. It's just gonna be me. So it's better for me to understand and learn now versus when I'm alone and feeling absolutely lost. So to answer your question, yes, I do like it so far. Someone asked, how long did it take to become a NICU nurse? So I'll just say my nurse, how long it took me to get through nursing school. So my prereqs were 2.5 years, and then I was in nursing school for 2.5 years, so 5 years in total. And I just recently graduated back in May, if you do not know. So this is my first nursing job. So I guess in total it took me about 5 years to do all that and then actually become a nurse. She said, hey love, what's up? Do you think high school students should become a CNA first to get experience? Yes, definitely. I didn't do that. That's something I kind of wish I would have did more. Not saying that you absolutely have to, but I really think for one, that's gonna help you be more comfortable when it comes time to like going to your clinicals as a nursing student. And then also like that exposure, especially if you know you want to go into like a specialty, try to be a CNA on those specialty floors, so that way you can kind of already have your foot in the door. But I do highly recommend it. If I honestly could go back and change one thing, it would be that I would try my hardest, absolute hardest, to be a CNA as early as possible, because I feel like when I was trying to become a CNA, it was already too late at that point. So I would definitely try to do it as early as possible. So as soon as you can do it, I would highly recommend it. So the next question is, how did you find out about your program? Love your channel, by the way. Thank you. So I'm gonna assume you're asking me about my residency program. So actually, I remember the first day of my clinical rotation there. I don't even remember who the woman was, and I don't even know if I've seen her since. But we literally went up to like the family birthing center, and she like came up to us and she was like, hey, do y'all know about our nurse residency program? And we were like, oh no, like we never heard about it. So she actually gave us like paperwork on it. And honestly, from that moment forward, I was sold. I literally said, this is the hospital that I want to work at, like on the first day. So it was just going there, having clinical there, and just kind of having my foot in the door. I knew when the application was going to open. I knew when it was going to close. So I was on it. Like I was on it. I had my application submitted the moment it opened. The next question is, have you worked on the mother baby unit? I have not, but being that like being a deliver and transition nurse, a lot of times when we transition the babies, or even when they're born, they're gonna go to postpartum, aka mother baby. So a lot of times, I've been on the mother baby unit on my hospital multiple times. And what I also like is those nurses on the mother baby unit at my hospital know that I'm a new grad. So like if their baby hasn't got their injections, for example, their Hep B, they'll literally, you know, get a hold of my preceptor and say, hey, like, does she want to do this Hep B shot? So that's what I just like the most about my hospital, like the welcoming, warming environment. Like everyone wants you to learn. Everyone wants you to get that experience. So to answer your question, I have not worked on the mother baby unit, but being that it's a part of the family birthing center, I am there a lot, and I'm transferring babies there a lot. So I definitely see it at least once a shift. Okay, and then the last question, which I didn't know this was the last question, it says tips for an interview. I actually have, I think, 1 to 2 videos on tips for an interview, so I don't want to go too far into detail on that. Again, I will try to link that down below. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into that. I have a whole video on it. I got you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I really hope I covered everyone's questions. I don't think I missed out on any because I went through literally all of them. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Again, if you have any other questions that I did not cover, please be sure to leave it down below in the comments. Stay up, stay with it. I have not said that in a long time, but stay up, stay with it. And subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.